I found this. It was just laying around. I haven't even finished the background, but I intend to at one point. But first of all, we're gonna create this goofy looking, I think it's a pregnant dragon or pregnant Godzilla. I don't even know. By the way, what's good? My name is Andy. I'm a full-time artist. I have a solo exhibition in a week. This will possibly be one of the paintings for this exhibition. Wouldn't it be sort of deranged if this Godzilla was more like a human, you know? So we're gonna make skin today. We're not gonna make real skin, but we're gonna use some of our techniques we've learned from our realism period. Now, the first thing I learned with skin is essentially it's so much less saturated than what you think initially, right? And with oil pastel, everything is layers, right? So in these first layers, we're basically applying it thinly. I'm using Meeden oil pastels for the most part in this video. Meedens are super soft. What you'll see here is also I've used quite a saturated color underneath what I am now applying. And that is also quite intentional, especially in these areas, because we want to visualize like where do we think the light might come from. And for this painting, I'm thinking ish here. So this area will be darker, obviously. This area will be lighter. And as you see, like this speaks for itself. But if you want to learn skin properly, I would much rather watch a classical painter. That's how I've learned it, right? You cannot watch me make pregnant Godzilla and expect to be a master at making skin tones. But you're free to paint with me and just see where this takes us. I'm much more the quantity that leads to quality kind of guy than I am direct quality all the time, you know? Like if you produce 100 paintings, I can almost promise you that one of them will be good. But if you procrastinate and make that one painting during a year, you might end up with a bad painting. We'll have that green sort of as an undertone here, and we'll have a reddish undertone here. That'll create a funny effect, I think. And you'll see me now go over the same areas over and over and over and over. I'll continue to do that until we are done with the painting. And if one color, let's say this color is wrong, I'll scrape it away if I have loads of layers of oil pastels on top of each other, or I will use paper and just smudge it away. One of my main priorities when painting, no matter what I paint, is always where do I envision the light coming from. And for this painting, since we're obviously not working from a reference, it's gonna be, I'm not like super strict with getting it correct, you know? It's just creating the illusion of a three-dimensional object, and the easiest way I've found to do that is to manipulate things with light and shadow. I rarely use pencil these days. So you'll see me use this a lot when working with acrylics. We'll probably have some grass in this area, but we're gonna add a little bit of this here just to add this here. Now we can continue working on this. We're intentionally now moving away from the realism. I want to focus more on the expression of the feeling instead. I'm still applying the soft pastels or the oil pastels quite softly to give myself room to stack layers on top if I want to. If I now, you'll see that I lose the ability to add more. Okay, sometimes you just gotta take some chances. We're gonna add a heart here. And we're gonna add some nerves to this guy. Okay, it doesn't do that much, but it's kind of cool. Kind of no undoing this, so we're set in this path now. And as you can see, we are definitely further along the process. What I've done is basically in these areas, right? The areas where it feels tender, I've used a lot of grayish blues. The reason it's grayish blues is because of the background. The background is blue. Because our skin isn't always grayish blue. It's a combination of, all of a sudden you have stone grays, that is essentially regular grays over in the tilted green area. Then you have some more saturated areas, then you have some neutral areas. So there's a lot of nuances in skin, right? And you don't necessarily have to add all of the nuances. Sometimes less is definitely more. It's also something with this painting, there's something quite raw with the fact that this woman has no teeth. Hence, she has no way of protecting herself. Yet she is pregnant and vulnerable, and you'll see that she's missing an arm, she's missing a leg, so it's obvious, and you'll see the scars. She's already been through a lot. So it's this sort of poke at the vulnerability of being human. Like if we strip everything away, we're so vulnerable on the inside, you know? Yet we put on all of this armor to protect ourselves, and that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. To survive, we sometimes need armor. But this is basically, you can even call it a self-portrait when the armor is stripped off. That's cool, but I don't know why I'm pregnant in that case. Flower? Possibly. Flower? Possibly. Birdie? Flower? The thing is that the composition is quite balanced as is. We're done! I added a pink outline. It reads white because everything else is so dark. And I was like, maybe I took away some punch from the painting because without this, this was in focus, but now this is in focus. But I guess that's something we just have to live with. That's something that happens. I also wanted to highlight how I created this because as you can see, this is not regular skin. I want to emphasize that. This is dramatized skin. This is, I've intentionally pushed it towards reds and purples for the feeling of vulnerability, for the feeling of tenderness. Now, that's something I allow myself to do. It's obviously pregnant Godzilla, so who the fuck cares? But with real skin, like you can definitely see the difference here, right? So this is over dramatized, and I've over dramatized it by using reds and this time deep blues. And the combination creates sort of black, but it isn't black, it's just blues. But it reads as black, and I like that. And I haven't used it almost at all in this area right here. What I have done is, and what I do usually with these characters is I add a background color, right? So I will either spray paint or use acrylics to get sort of the foundation down. And the foundation is sort of greenish in this region. And I've just added some pastels on top without smudging, because if I smudge it, then the effect will go away. And over to these areas, you'll see it's more in the orange vibes over here. It's more green over here. So I've intentionally leaned on the underlying color, like I haven't filled it all. You also saw that even though the light is coming from here, I intentionally added some more shadows in this area. The reason I did that was basically just because I wanted to be honest. I just wanted it to sort of feel like it goes back there as well. And it makes no sense, but since we're working from imagination, that's also allowed. She is missing a boob that is supposed to be here. We've fucked with the perspective. We've played with the perspective. Because this area, if I take away this, she's basically facing this way. But the stomach says otherwise, right? So it makes you wonder, where is the other boob? Is there supposed to be another boob? Or is she simply just sitting like this, you know, with upper body this way and lower body this way? It's, yeah, I like that. I honestly like that. It's been a fun painting to create. I like that I can play in this tender and vulnerable side, you know, an aspect, even with a childish, intuitive approach to it. And I think that's about it for today's video. We'll obviously chat possibly tomorrow, probably tomorrow, most likely tomorrow, if you're tuning in every day. And if you want, I can give a more detailed analysis on how I actually approach layering with pastels, because I've used pastels quite a lot now. So I have fun when I do that. And I've learned a lot over the past months using oil pastels every day. Yep. We'll chat.